Here we are with video 5. Well, before we finish with Reddy and Pasteur's experiments, let's look back. It says, as you explore, identify the manipulated variable in each experiment. And the way you identify a manipulated variable is very simple. First, let's take a look at Reddy's experiment. You look at what is the same in both parts of the experiment. They both have a jar. They both have a piece of meat. In every part of the experiment, both have a jar, piece of meat, both have a jar, piece of meat. The only thing that has changed is that Reddy added a lid to the jar. So a manipulated variable is one that you change in an experiment. So here is the manipulated variable in this experiment. Take a look at this experiment. You have a flask in both experiments. You have broth in both experiments. But think about what Pasteur did that's different in this experiment or between these two flasks. If you take a look, going, you'll see that in one flask he boiled the broth, and in the other one he did not. And then bacteria started to grow. Bacteria growing is not a manipulated variable. That's another kind of variable called a responding variable, which we will get to another time. Alright, so let's close this. Not going to do the checkpoints. Get to the next page. Needs of living things. So far we've talked about characteristics of living things. Notice this heading is large in green, like characteristics of living things. So this is a large heading, and it should show up that way in your notes. Imagine yourself biking through a park on a warm spring day. As you ride by a tree, you see a squirrel running up the tree trunk. Although it may seem that squirrels and trees do not have the same basic needs as you, they do. All organisms need 4 things to stay alive. Living things must satisfy their basic needs for energy, water, living space, and stable internal conditions. So now let's look more closely at what these four aspects of living things are. Energy. You read earlier that organisms need a source of energy to live. They use food as their energy source. Organisms differ in the ways they obtain their energy. Some organisms, such as plants, capture the sun's energy and use it along with carbon dioxide, a gas found in Earth's atmosphere, and water to make their own food. Organisms that make their own food are called autotrophs. Auto means self, and troph means feeder. So autotroph, self-feeder. Autotrophs use the food they make as an energy source to carry out their life functions. So don't think of yourself as an autotroph if you're, making a peanut butter sandwich. That's not what it means. You have to create the food in your body, like plants. Organisms that cannot make their own food are called heterotrophs. Hetero meaning other, and of course troph means feeder. A heterotroph's energy source is also the sun, but in an indirect way. Heterotrophs either eat autotrophs, such as plants, and obtain the energy in the autotroph stored food, or they consume other heterotrophs that eat autotrophs. Animals, mushrooms, and slime molds are examples of heterotrophs. So think about this. When you eat a hot dog, for instance, or a hamburger, you're eating meat from a cow or a pig, and those animals ate plants first. So they ate the plants, and then the energy from the plants gets transferred all the way to you. But you don't get energy directly from the sun. It's always indirectly. Water. All living things need water to survive. In fact, most organisms can live for only a few days without water. Organisms need water to do things such as obtain chemicals from their surroundings, break down food, grow, move substances within their bodies, and reproduce. Think about eating anything if you didn't have saliva in your mouth, which is made up of partially water. Or think of your blood flowing through your veins. If it didn't have enough water in it, it would be solid, or like a jelly. One important property of water that is vital to living things is its ability to dissolve more chemicals than any other substance on Earth. In your body, for example, water makes up 92% of the liquid part of your blood. The food that your cells need dissolves in the blood and is transported throughout your body. Waste from cells dissolves in the blood and is carried away. Your body's cells also provide a watery environment in which chemicals are dissolved. In a sense, you can think of yourself as a person-shaped sack of water in which many substances are dissolved. Fortunately, your body contains some substances that do not dissolve in water, and so you hold your shape. Think of having sugar or salt in your mouth and how that dissolves very quickly, and certain foods like bread and crackers also dissolve very quickly.